I even get into anything, I want you to unconfuse me. I want to say me first, and why I say me is because a lot of times I get ridiculed for not only a 6ix9ine thing, but all other people. I play different music, and I feel like me as the DJ, it's my job just to play music, not to judge what a man does in his personal time and things like that, just to play music. So me not being in the street life culture, and I see you with a picture with 6ix9ine, I was a little confused. So before I even start, can you unconfuse me and people like me?
Well, there's nothing to be confused about. I did an interview with 6ix9ine because that's what I wanted to do. They didn't reach to me; I reached to them. And music is music, and I think what happens, or what has happened, is people keep saying street life music. It's not about music. It's not about music. That's the street life. It's just people talking about the streets, right? So I don't even understand when people say, "Well, this, that, other." What does one have to do with the next? If somebody knows something, he tell a story in a song, that's it. I don't see one real street dude that's mainstream, right?
Okay.
Actually, I do know one, Lil Baby, right? That's mainstream. The rest of these dudes be commercialized and know a few things, a lot of them don't live in their neighborhood. Like, our niggas live behind gates and shit like that. So, but the fans don't know that. So, when I look at 6ix9ine, I really don't fault him. I fault the street. The street shouldn't allow him. That neighborhood shouldn't allow him over there like that. So, I was very curious on why it went the way it went and why he did what he did. And my whole disposition was to get him to understand that you ain't a gangster. You ain't a thug. You ain't a street nigga. You a regular civilian. You just was in uniform. You was in costume. Period. You did exactly what a civilian would do. So he did exactly what my son is trained to do. My son is a civilian. He's trained to tell the truth. He don't live by no street code. He don't even got a sidewalk in front of his house.
What do you say to a person or a street guy that says, or people outside that says, he ain't a street dude, but he involved himself in street activity, which made him active?
No, that didn't make him active. I asked him. I addressed all that. Because I really wanted to know, see, there's certain things that qualify you to be what you are and from where you from, right? If you don't go through those things, it's just like going to the military. If you can't pass basic training, you ain't going to make it to the next phase of it, right?
Okay.
Let's be real. So if you didn't go through this or do that or perform these acts or do this or that, right? How do you get to a position where you telling motherfuckers what to do? I'm going to tell you why. The streets, the so-called real niggas, has found themselves to be in a position where they are non-hustlers. See, this word gangster, it really came from us watching these mafia movies and all this type of shit. But one thing you notice about the mafia movies and the mob movies, they always did one thing. They made money. So it confused me how motherfuckers call themselves gangsters, but you're in the situation where you don't know how to make no money. So if a dude come on the block that making money, you say, fuck it. Here go the keys, here go all the secrets, and you run the block. He ain't been put on. He ain't put in no work. He ain't did nothing to earn this position or situation. So who do you blame? Do you blame the motherfucker that's infatuated because it is the streets and, these dudes are going to let me do this? Or do you blame the block for allowing the infiltration? Which one? 6ix9ine could have never came to my neighborhood and did that. It would have never happened. Even if I wanted it to happen, the powers that be would have overrode me, and I would have got a DP. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's bigger than the program, and the rules is written. So at the end of the day, this man ran with them people for 12 months. How did he know about things that happened 5 years prior to tell him, to talk about it? You know why? Because them so-called real niggas ran their motherfucking mouth and violated everything that they fell up under to this kid who didn't have no obligation to that street code. He didn't get put on. He ain't go take life. He didn't go put in no work or no. He didn't do none of that. He had the bag. So what they were supposed to do, let him shoot videos, charge him for that. You want to cover him at the studio, charge him for that. You need to move around with you, charge him for that. But you wasn't supposed to let him. You wasn't supposed to let him in the build, homie. He can't come in the dope house. He ain't supposed to come to the spot where the pistols at. He ain't supposed to know who the niggas is that's calling the dogs. He ain't supposed to know about these stories of this internal shit that's going on. He ain't supposed to know about that. You can't blame him. He ain't psychic. You got to blame them. The streets got to blame itself. Just like with this Black Lives Matter shit, right? We want to blame the police, but they killing 2 out of 10. 8 out of 10 we killing. When we gonna march on us? When we gonna walk down the street and say, hey, you motherfuckers on this block, y'all gonna stop killing us? Everybody follows the trend. That's the sheep. Unfortunately, I've always been a wolf, homie. Mm-hmm. I'm a wolf, and I'm going to do it how I want to do it, when I want to do it. That's simple. Mm. I'm a wolf, and I'm going to see it my way. That man is a civilian. That man is a civilian, bro. Everything about him is contradicting. Rainbow hair. No disrespect. What is rainbow representative of, Self? The gay community, right?
Yes.
Red bandana. What's that a representative of, Self? The Bloods, right?
Bloods,
When the fuck do those two mix? This is a gimmick. This is a gimmick. When he takes the costume off, he's Little Danny. Ain't no costume with Wack. I'm what I am.
Wack, what do you say to a person that, all right, this guy told on Bloods and you are a Blood? So wouldn't you even feel a way it's like, all right, this guy told on people that's
bro,
down with me?
Listen, let me explain something to you. I'm from Eastside Pacoima Paru Bloods, right?
Okay.
When a nigga from Pacoima Paru Bloods violates and does something, it's on Pacoima Paru to deal with that, right?
Okay.
If that individual comes back to my neighborhood and walks around my city, and guess what? Don't nobody touch him, I'm not looking at my homies from Compton to do something to him, right? So I go say that to say this. This kid is moving around with no security. All this jewelry, I seen it.
Okay.
Going to clubs. When he came home, niggas posted his address, where he was at, right? Ain't nobody did nothing about it, right? The obligation for that to be handled is in the hands of those that have been dealt that blow. They need to handle their business. This ain't a worldly thing. Handle your business. And the minute you start handling your business, maybe everybody else may say, okay, then that's what it is. Then the boxing might happen. But until then, you'll be a goddamn fool to do a job that ain't your job. Mm-hmm. I ain't listening. Who feeling it? He told on a bunch of dudes from non-trade gangsters. That dude, non-trade is everywhere, bro. They ain't restricted. Mm-hmm. That dude ain't hiding, bro. I watched it. Nigga came to me from a club and left me and went to a day party. Let's just be real, bro.
I'm with you. I've seen them out. Are you surprised at the reaction of people? What the reaction of some people are having with this podcast that's coming out?
I mean, no, because people are people, and in my world, right, the only ones that count is the ones that mean something that count, right? So I don't worry about the dude in Canada that got something to say, or a dude in the UK got something to say, or even a dude like my son who went to the penitentiary for robbing an innocent cab driver, right? This dude 3 years ago was scalping tickets for the BET Awards in downtown LA. Mm-hmm. Same dude that, might be a little salty because I convinced Game not to sign him. Y'all remember he was running around behind Game.
He was running, yes.
But he was trying to be a rapper, right? So, I convinced Game, not to sign the dude because I didn't think he was worthy of our staff anyway. I got a personal relationship with my son, so it was kind of weird that he does what he does, but I think he's moving into the position of being this type of advocate or some shit. Like when the Black Lives thing kicked off, I seen him step out there. That's cool. That's what you want to do. I commend you for it, but who you are and what you stand for, it don't count in my world. I'm seeing he's saying I got paid. Hey, bro, I didn't get paid. I did the interview for free. Wack don't need no money. My son, you need the money. Wack, you the one that's still trying to rap and do shit and charging the kids, the schools $2,500 to go speak to the kids. I go to the juvenile halls for free. I speak to the kids for free. I don't. That's your hustle. So I understand why he might need my name because there's no real relevance to his name. So I get it. So when people think and their opinion don't matter because their way of thinking and their frame of mind is theirs, that would make me like them. That would make me a follower, a sheep. And I'm a wolf. And unfortunately, bro, we make our own rules and we set our own pace. My table knew I was doing the interview. Everybody knew I was doing the interview. I told academics on Instagram to set the interview up. Did I not?
Uh-huh.
I told her. I didn't hide it. I went over there with my wife and kids. That's who went with me to the interview. Mm-hmm. Set little Danny down, and my whole thing, my approach was not a rat approach because I don't see him as that. Watch this. Motherfucking Vlad TV filed some shit on Rick Ross when they whooped his ass. Had that man in court. Rick Ross had to fuck around, paid his man like $400,000. You remember that?
I do remember that. Was Rick Ross against Vlad? Yes.
Who was Vlad's right-hand man every day after the fact? My son was Vlad's man every motherfucking day after the fact. Now watch this. I see Vlad as a civilian. So he did what he was supposed to do. I'm a strong believer in civilians are not obligated to street code. I see Vlad the same way I see little Danny. Danny's just in the costume pretending. He ain't that. He wasn't put on. He wasn't initiated. Nigga had a bag and niggas on the block that was broke allowed this kid to run around and do what the fuck he wanted to do. That's just like me throwing the keys of my Ferrari, one of my Rolls Royces, to a 12-year-old. You think he ain't gonna get in that motherfucker and drive it? Mm-hmm. He might tear it up. Ain't no telling what he gonna do. He ain't gonna treat it like what it is. He's just driving a car when he really shouldn't be.
Do you feel like this is a lesson to like, I guess street people who
Man, ain't no streets, man. Hey, listen. Everybody need to understand this because I come from it when it was, and I'm looking at what it ain't. Everybody need to stop faking. It's neighborhoods from the West Coast to the South to the East Coast that at one point in time you could not drive in if they didn't know who you was. They would have took your life. They'd have robbed you. I can go to Bed-Stuy. I can go places in my neighborhood, Watts and Compton, and drive down streets and blocks, bro, and you don't see nobody. It ain't like that no more. They need to all stop fronting, homie. I come from it. Every cause has its end. Every movement has its end. Black Panther Party, so on and so forth. It started, it ended. Everybody got to stop fronting like this shit is some old 1986 shit. That ain't what it is. And that's just real. So the streets are being prostituted by the dollar. There's no code. There's no none of that no more. Mm-hmm. It's not there. Suge Knight proved that. Mm-hmm. Suge Knight from a neighborhood that you ain't going to college. You ain't going to this, that, being from over there. Nigga, you going to jail somewhere in your life. He got a badge. Mob James speaks on it all the time. Right? He got a badge, and because of the money, they moved how he told them to move. Not because of who he was, and he's an authority figure, and his history and his rank, and he didn't put in no work. Man, this shit been watered down. At the end of the day, I sat down with the kid because I see him as a kid. I ain't never looked at that man as no blood. When he was running around here, blood and whatever he was doing, they told me to come talk to him. You never seen Wack sit down. I would have never sat down with him as no blood. It's not going to happen. But I sit down with little Danny because I told him he was confused because he wants to be looked at as a gangster. And my whole disposition was is to enlighten him and to show him and to point things out to where you need to understand, Danny, you are not a gangster. It's not what you are.
After
Period.
after doing the interview, did your perception change about him?
No, I think his perception of him changed about him.
Okay.
You got to remember, he's used to getting people in there and he get them into a screaming match. It's a 3-hour interview, bro. It's some shit went on. It's some people that been mentioned. It's some shit that really got addressed.
Okay.
From mainstream artists, you know what I mean, that I had to defend because I felt they wasn't there to defend themselves and I understand them, right? So at the end of it, Daddy jumped up 2-3 times, a little frustrated, you know what I mean? But it was a conversation. See, when people like Meek Mills go wrong, they say, you this, you this, you this, you that. You popping like when you see him is on. And that's cool. Just when you see him, let it be on. I never wanted to do nothing to the kid because I really don't blame the kid. I blame the block. If the block don't allow him to come in there and do that, if the block don't tell him about history that happened before him, he never has any ammunition to go in and say anything anyway. So who's at fault? The kid or the block?
Well, that's why I said that maybe this is a lesson to, I guess, the block instead of me saying the street. This is a lesson to people that's on the block. Like, watch who you let in your circle.
Hey, bro, it ain't letting in. It's like certain things is earned. I got some people like my brother Stat Quo. That's my brother. Love him to death, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I deal with Stat Quo, it's a peaceful, humble environment. You understand what I'm saying? I don't deal with Stat Quo where some tension or it might be a fight or some shootings or a fucking ride or anything like that. Because Stat Quo is a civilian. And if I put him in a situation or position where something happens and they just so happen to get his license plate and go to his house and knock on the door and say this, Stat Quo is going to respond to that in the way that he should with the mind frame of a civilian. So as a friend, right, I'm going to keep him out of those situations, right? Mm-hmm. You got to know what's around you, who you taking where, and what you doing. They let this kid tell them, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. What did this kid earn? What did he go through? How did he get that type of say-so and control? The bag is shallow. Mm-hmm. It's shallow, and that's just what it is. Nobody wants to admit because a lot of people use on street as they leverage to get in or have an identity, right? I haven't been a gangbanger in 25 years, bro. I haven't woke up hating the Crip or wanted to do something to somebody in blue for 25 years. I got Crip partners, Crip comrades. I don't even disrespect the C in conversations when I'm talking to people because I know I may hang up the phone and my Crip partner may call me and I'm going to feel like I'm a buster for conducting myself like that. Mm-hmm. So I see life different. End of the day, those that are obligated and bound to this shit, then you're going to be held accountable for it. Wack can't tell. I can't cooperate with the police. I don't care if you did something to my daughter, my mama, the code I'll fall up under is I got to deal with it the way of the streets. But a civilian is never subject to those ways. Period.
Okay. You want to shout out somebody in New York? Because, the whole New York City is listening right now.